Well, let's go through some of those examples. As you said, we know that the left-wing media in the US, they've spent the past 4 years trying to, one, hide the fact that Joe Biden is clearly a vegetable, and two, as you said, paint Donald Trump to be some sort of demonic dictator. I mean, have a look at this by CNN.
A copy of Hitler's Mein Kampf, you would find the Nazi leader describing the mixing of non-Germans with Germans as poisoning. There's really no other way to say it. Donald Trump's language mirrors this directly.
And then there's an inflammatory rhetoric being spun by the Democrats. Have a listen to Democrat delegate Stacey Plaskett slipping up.
Having Trump not only have had the codes, but now having the classified information for Americans and being able to put that out and share it in his resort with anyone and everyone who comes through should be terrifying to all Americans, and he needs to be stopped.
Whoops, she clearly there almost went to say that Donald Trump needs to be shot. And have a look at Congressman Dan Goldman, who said this last year.
That man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
Sebastian, you know, if you were some sort of crazed kook who kept hearing that Trump is a dictator, Trump is Hitler, Trump's a threat to democracy, somewhere in your mentally unstable mind, you would take this as a call to arms. Words matter. Is this the hysterical rhetoric that's been amplified by the mainstream media? Is this what's invited lunatics to take matters into their own hands?
Absolutely. And it wasn't just, 24 hours ago. We've seen this again and again and again. Nobody knows these names because they've been deep-sixed by the mainstream media. But who's James Hodgkinson? James Hodgkinson took a Soviet SKS rifle to a baseball field not far from where I'm sitting, to a Republican charity baseball game. And he just started opening fire. He was finally neutralized by two officers who were there because Steve Scalise, a member of the GOP leadership, was present. But that individual was found with a hit list on his body that had only Republican names on it. Steve Scalise almost died that night. And on top of that, who was this individual? Who's James Hodgkinson? He was a volunteer for the Bernie Sanders campaign, another lefty. Then we have Nicholas Röske. I challenge anyone on either side of the world to tell me who Nicholas Röske is. He's the lunatic Californian who illegally travels from California to my state of Virginia with a Glock, with a bayonet, and with zip ties to do what? To go to Justice Kavanaugh's home, a Supreme Court Associate Justice nominated by my former boss, to murder him and his wife and his children because, he doesn't like abortion, so he must be killed. If it weren't for just a last-minute pang of conscience, Nicholas Röske would have killed a member of the Supreme Court again and again and again. There's one party that's normalized violence, and it's not us. It's not conservatives. It's not the Republicans. It is the Democrat Party, whether it's BLM or whether it's Antifa. They are fine with normalizing violence. So if anybody's surprised at what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, they are clinical cretins.
Absolutely. And in the end, in the aftermath of the attempted assassination, there's been no violence, no rioting. The Republicans were maintaining their cool in what was a terrible and could have been an extremely tragic incident. Now, even more extraordinary was the left-wing media's first instinct after the assassination attempt. They wanted to hide it. Have a look at CNN. They called it Trump falls. The Washington Post described it as loud noises, and on the NBC, it was popping noises. But this one truly takes the cake. CNN described it as an interruption before host Jamie Gangel attacked Trump for saying, "Fight, fight, fight."
I think what we're hearing from people is that's not the message that we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down.
And have a look at this warped analysis.
Donald Trump and the people around him perceive themselves to be under threat. And that's all that matters. That is not legitimate. That is wrong. You hear the screams from the audience. People are terrified.
And how's this cracker from Wolf Blitzer suggesting Trump wasn't actually injured?
Now, if someone is shot with a bullet that pierces the upper part of your right ear, wouldn't that bullet also continue onto someone's skull and create a much more dangerous situation?
And ABC News' Martha Radatz having a complete mental breakdown, appearing to blame the assassination attempt on Donald Trump and his supporters.
And supporters are certainly in some parts angry. And let's remember January 6th. In so many ways for the campaign, January 6th will probably be in the background after yesterday's event. This is a very difficult time for this campaign. I'm sure this week in Milwaukee that President Trump will highlight this.
Sebastian, this is what CNN would call a mostly peaceful assassination attempt.
I love my Antipodean brethren, so I feel justified in using some salty language now. Everything you've just played is empirical evidence that none of those people are journalists. They will do and say whatever has to be said. The idea that a bullet traveling 3,000 feet per second actually hits President Trump's ear, and that cretinous little dwarf says, well, shouldn't it have gone into his skull? Was he really shot? As another man behind President Trump, a 50-year-old fire chief who lay on his daughter and his wife to protect them, literally has his cranium blown open as another bullet hits him. And this is why we have to win on November the 5th, because President Trump was right. What was it, 7 years ago, when he said the media are the enemy of the people? They have absolutely no right to be called journalists.
Completely agree with you. Such a good analysis. And also now, a day later, Donald Trump, he's back at it and in fine form. Here we go.
Just finished talking to the former president. You would think that he would be down. I mean, he's in the saddle. He's excited. And I said, is there anything that I could, share with the audience? And he paused for a second and he said, can you just tell him I love him?
Sebastian, is this quintessential Donald Trump, undeterred, getting on with the job? What message is he trying to send?
I got to tell you, I don't get it. I don't comprehend it. I've got an excuse for my pugilistic attitude because of, the family baggage I bring with my parents escaping communism. That guy grew up in Queens. He's a billionaire, mogul who had a TV, reality show for 14 years at the top of the charts. I don't know how he does it. He's 25 years older than me. I couldn't keep up with him in the White House. The fact that, yes, I can't believe I'm saying this. Yesterday, he's almost assassinated. He flew home that night, discharged himself from the hospital, then plays golf today, and then says, oh, yeah, the Republican convention. Should we delay that? No. Let's get on Trump Force One. And then he flew to Milwaukee. It's mind-boggling. I don't know what he's made of. It's titanium mixed in with Kevlar, with tungsten steel, and then a little bit of pixie dust, because it's just magical.
Oh, he's incredible. I don't know how he does it either, but good to see him going, no, I'm undeterred, getting on with it, let's keep fighting. And I just have to ask you, Sebastian, how hard would this incident be on the family? We saw a statement from Melania Trump. She said, when I watched that violent bullet strike my husband, Donald, I realised my life and Barron's life were on the brink of devastating change. I am grateful to the brave Secret Service agents and law enforcement officials who risked their own lives to protect my husband. How terrifying would this be for Melania too?
Yeah, Melania is also absolutely unique, and they broke the mold when they made her. When I was in the White House, she was one of the most gracious human beings I've ever met. If your viewers haven't done so, you can find on my Twitter feed, just go to Seb Gorka, SEBGORKA, read her 2-page letter to the American people that she released earlier today. And it's one of the most beautiful pieces of writing I've ever seen about what this means, the fabric of the republic being rent asunder, and how love is the way. And with love and dedication, love of country, love of family, love of God, we can fix everything. So I cannot imagine what she was feeling when she saw that footage, when the Secret Service really failed to secure that perimeter at the event, and then seeing her husband covered in blood and then raising that fist. I mean, that's who Donald Trump is. So I'd request all of the Sky News viewers is just keep her, keep the president, keep Eric, Lara, Don Jr., the whole family in your prayers, and pray for the future of America, because we need normality back. We need a president who makes sure there aren't wars around the world like when we were in the White House. And we need to stop the crazies. I mean, look, I'm no fan of Bill Clinton, especially for what he did with that 21-year-old intern. But at least he was a Democrat who would rein in the crazies. Right now, you can't name one Democrat in a leadership position who reins in the crazies. On the contrary, they're putting the petrol on the bonfire. As a result, it's up to us. It's up to the patriots. It's up to President Trump and everybody who loves America to make sure he has a landslide victory, and then we can start to rebuild America and just shun the crazies.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's a very good point. And I just want to ask you about Ivanka Trump, because she stayed by her father's side as he spent the night in his estate recovering. Tell us about their relationship. How close is Donald Trump to his daughter Ivanka?
As close as two loving people can be who are father and daughter. I mean, she was a colleague of mine in the White House. Her husband was an incredibly impressive guy who was head of innovation. And beyond that, he brought us the historic Abraham Accords that he negotiated with two other people that brought peace between Israel and 5 other nations, which was rent asunder when Biden arrived, reversed everything. And then we saw the greatest loss of Jewish life since the Shoah, since the Holocaust on October the 7th. So I'm not surprised that she was there at his bedside. I don't think he needed anybody by his bedside because he was hitting those holes in one earlier today. But the fact is, that's what a loving... Look, you can judge a man by his children, right? And you look at this family and you say, wow, I have even more respect for President Trump because I look at these amazing children. And I know them all. I mean, I know Don Jr., I know Eric, I know Lara, his wife, who's a colleague of my wife in the Republican Party. And Ivanka was a colleague of mine, just amazing people who are trying to follow in their father's gargantuan footsteps.
Well, they just look like such a terrific family. Sebastian Gorka, really appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this evening.
God bless. Keep us in your prayers, please, my friends.